This is the Comedy Kiosk, podcast by Monday and Munoz. Please welcome Monday and Munoz.
Welcome to the Comedy Kiosk, a podcast in which we discuss news, opinions, and ideas about comedy. My name is David Munoz, and co-hosting with me is...
As always, Igor Monday.
Alrighty, and today's topic is too many cooks in the kitchen. Or should it be the more the merrier?
That's a long episode title, and I'll have to be the one trying to cram all that into the description. Like,
well, choose one.
Too many cooks in the kitchen versus the more the merrier.
Versus the merrier,
Yeah, basically, as we discussed, like kind of off record, both of us that on our relatively small markets, especially for English comedy, more and more like new shows have been popping up recently by different like organizers, hosts, whatever. And the question is that helping or is that disturbing the kind of scene and the growth of the scene? So basically, is the scene becoming oversaturated and are people having like to choose where to go, or are they just being like too, exposed by all of these events? Or is that good? Or does that mean like, more stage time, more opportunities, and hopefully more audience in the end as well? So I'll just share the situation that we have here in Zagreb. Then you can maybe say what's going on in your market as well, and then we can see, what can that potentially lead to, and would that be a good or a bad thing? So what happened here is when I started Zagreb English Comedy, which was last June, so like a year and a half ago, there were no regular English events in Zagreb. There were never any regular English events. There used to be a comedy club where sometimes a traveling comedian would come and perform in English, and that's about it. Like, and of course, people like Jimmy Carr would show up once every 5 years with their new like touring show and do like the big haul, and basically that was that. But then I started doing the regular shows, and for about a year, that was the only English comedy. But now also one like record label that sometimes produces stand-up for some reason, they started bringing in comedians as well. So basically they're bringing in kind of mostly British, let's say fairly known, or, not like the A-list, but, like kind of known comedians as well. That's in English. Then the X Comedy Club, which still produces shows, they sometimes produce a show in English as well for someone else. So that's already like two organizations besides mine. And then people independently also sometimes produce their own show, like traveling comedians do it, like they just find a venue and perform. Some of like comedians that perform with me as well are like friend, colleague Peja that we mentioned before as well. He does his show like he used to do it every month. Now he does it less, the English one as well. Damiana, my friend and colleague as well, she does her hour. So basically at some point it happened that in a year or year and a half, from no English comedy whatsoever, it happened recently that we had two English shows in one night, which was the first time ever for Zagreb and I believe for this part of the world as well. Which then means that suddenly like a number of English shows started popping up, and we had a situation for the first time ever that we had two English shows in one night. So the closest we got to that was when we had like two or even three English shows in a week, but we never had two shows in one night. And then like there was an English show on Friday and then two on Saturday. And I mean, that's not a regular thing. That just happened by accident because one local comedian decided to do her hour on that day, and one traveling comedian was also here doing his hour. So it's not now, again, like, there are not so many shows. So again, like also in like 5 days, there is 3 English shows. So it's becoming a thing. And so that's kind of the situation over here in Zagreb. What's it like in Alicante for you?
Well, yeah, it's kind of it kind of went interesting. So when I arrived, like you, there was no regular stand-up in English or anything like that. I just heard that like every so often some British comedian or someone might do a show usually probably in Benidorm or something like that, which is a very British-heavy expat community sort of thing, has one of those. So, you hear of those sort of things. So I started doing my show, and I think on the second or third show, another guy showed up, a Spanish guy, Marco Antonio, and he was like, he was starting to do stand-up shows in English. And it was when he was setting it up that someone told him about me, and he came to check me out and was like, hey, we can work together. Cool. So, we collaborated and we help each other out when we can, sort of stuff. He comes to my thing to do open mics. I do his shows when I'm available. So, we always kind of communicated between us like what we wanted to do so we don't step on each other's shows. So overall, I was doing 2 Sundays. He started with 1 Wednesday, and now he's upgraded to 2 Wednesdays. That was okay sort of thing. And he gets people going to his show. He charges, I don't. And he gets more people going to his show regularly sort of thing. He also has a marketing person, from what I understand, the way he's explained it. So I think he gets it better managed in a way. Like, he's definitely got, he's able to find markets and things like that I don't have the time to put in, because this is his job sort of stuff. For me, it's my side hustle, or not even hustle, my side hobby sort of thing. Anyway, so that's the situation up until recently. Now, over the holiday period, things went a bit more dead. It was hard to get people because people want to go to the beach instead of come to a stand-up show, yada, yada. And then another club has just started doing it, and they almost kind of copied my exact situation. They just changed the hour, but I was doing every first and third Sunday for the shows at 6 o'clock of an free open mic. Now another club has started to do literally the second and fourth Sundays at 8 o'clock instead of 6, 8 o'clock, but also a free open mic, which was really weird because they didn't message me, or they didn't say anything like, hey, by the way, Marco Antonio, we worked together, because, he popped up and did the courtesy, hey, I'm doing the same sort of thing, so let's kind of, work together. Great. Didn't get a message or anything like that, but I did get tagged in one of their things, like one of their posts. So I'm like, okay, so they do know that I'm doing comedy. It's not like they missed it. Okay, they're very self-aware of what they were doing. They just took it. I thought, interesting. But the weird thing is, the reason why I started was because there was no one else doing it. So I had to create my own scene so that I could perform. And in a way now, there's a candidate, because one of the guys, he posts up all the shows for the month, and he puts up a schedule so that people can see it. And there was 5 shows in 1 month. And considering, Alicante is not a capital city, not like Zagreb. It's not a couple of million people, living. There's I don't even know. I think there's 300,000 maybe, or something like that. So it's not even near the million mark. So we're like, it's not going to have a huge potential. So part of me was like, right, 5 shows a month. Holy crap, that's... And I know mine are not successful. I don't know how it's going at the new place, the El Gato place, but I'm just I don't know if they're raking in the people because maybe they're more central than I am, although I am pretty damn central. I actually am in the center, but I don't know, maybe they're just in a more busier street or something. I have no idea how it's going. I haven't managed to get around to checking them out yet, but
yeah, maybe they have their own kind of clientele or regulars or something. Or
I think so. I think
maybe they're a more event-oriented place, so people will just come to whatever, or
exactly.
An expat-oriented place or something like that.
So at first, and what's interesting in the past, because there was Marco and I remember one of the comedians kind of saying, well, shouldn't we just be under one umbrella name sort of thing, all together? But I kind of made the point of look, no, it's no big deal. The more the merrier. As long as we don't step on each other's toes, as long as everyone's respectful of each other, but we all cross-promote each other's shows, and that's fine. That's what we're doing, sort of thing. I think what kind of got me a little bit was this El Gato place did not approach, as far as I'm aware, did not approach anyone. And no one, if they did approach someone, those people did not tell the rest of the group, hey, these people want to do this. So it's yeah, it was just a little bit no, it's cool as long as we're all on the same page and we're all aware of each other and we don't step each other's toes. Or if you're going to copy someone's thing, just check, hey, is it cool if we do this one or whatever? Because then I could say, well, actually, it'd be great if you guys could do a Thursday night because I'm already doing Sundays. Maybe you guys could do Thursdays and we can see what that market's like and we'll come perform and blah, blah, blah. Trying to build a scene. But at the same time, part of me is well, why go against the flow? Because it's kind of what I wanted. If I were to have rocked up right now to Alicante, when I originally did. But I found that there was the Wednesday shows that Marco puts on, and there was this El Gato place doing 2 Sundays. I would be well, hell, I don't have to do shit. I'm just going to show up. I'm going to go to the shows and I'm going to perform. Thank you very much. It's actually, no, this is kind of what I was looking to set up. So in a way, I guess I started a trend, and so did Marco. And, we ended up people are now copying our ideas and whatever, and it's okay, fair enough. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to scale back. So, because it's well, why push myself? Why exert so much energy for very little reward, because at this point I'm not having success. And 2 shows ago, I had this Irish father and son show up to the show, and they loved the show, the one that I was putting on, and they thought it was brilliant, and they thought the acts were great, and they were just like scratching their heads as to why I was promoting it for free. And Marco Antonio asked me the same thing. He's like, why are you doing it for free? And I was like, well, because of our background when we're doing it in Moscow, you know, we set up the free shows, and then you do the showcases, and that's when you charge and you pay the comedians and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, you know, this is an open mic. Open mic can be low quality, high quality. It's a mishmash. You never know, so we don't charge. We ask for donations. That's it. And that worked a couple of shows, but in general, if you only have 3 people show up and each of them only gives a couple of euros, I end up spending more on advertising. So I thought, screw it, I'm going to change my system now, my modus operandi. I'm going to do 1 show, the first Sunday, that's it. I'll charge 5 euros for it. I'm going to be offering a discount on the second drink, so I'll cover 2 euros on the second drink. So out of the 5 euros that I make, I'm losing 2 euros for anyone who grabs their second drink as a promotional thing. And, you know, stuff it. I'll just do the first Sunday as my own little pet project. I'll host. And then the other shows, you know, the ones at Elgato, I'll go to those and I'll do my 5-10 minutes or whatever as my set. And I'll do Marco Antonio's when I can. When it doesn't conflict with work, I'll do his as well, which I always like doing anyway because, you know, he's cool. But the question is then, like in this case, I started wondering, because of the smaller scene, it's not Zagreb, it's Alicante. And the thing is, in Alicante itself, there's not such a huge English community. That's Benidorm, that's places around. They seem to have more. So Alicante itself, I don't know. I was thinking like 5 shows was almost too much, considering we have quite a nascent scene. And you know, it's even gotten to times where, you know, Marco Antonio usually gets at least 10 people to buy tickets. But I remember there was one show he cancelled because he only sold like 3 or 4 tickets. And he was like, nah, not worth it, sort of thing. So what are your thoughts? Like, is it too many cooks in the kitchen, or is it the more the merrier? For me, I thought it was starting to get close to being too many cooks in the kitchen, as one of our comedians, kind of Andrew, was bringing up at one point. He was just a little bit concerned, like, were we going to oversaturate? And all of a sudden I said, yeah. So I decided that I'm going to pull back a little bit and in a way, though, take advantage of it, because that was what I wanted in the first place. So, you know, I wanted more of a scene. But at the same time, if we're only going to end up with 3 or 4 people per show, like spread it out thin.
Yeah, but I mean, I think our cases are slightly different, because in your case, like, more stage has opened up, like more stage time, right? So you can do like your show, you can do 2 other Sundays with the other bar, and you can do like the other 2 Wednesdays or something with the other guys. So you can do like 5 shows a month that you can do, or anyone else who wants to try or perform can do. In our case, it's a little bit different, because only I do open mics. No one wants to do open mics. No one wants to do like the free shows, the actual work. What they do is they do ticketed shows. So it's either local comedians who have an hour, which is like 2 or maximum 3 people, but they want to do this hour like every month or something. I don't do my hour. But people hear like the local comedians, they want to do their show every month. I'm like, there is not enough new audiences to come and to, like, you know, there is not 50 new people every month to come and see your show. Because if the pool of the audience here is, I don't know, like 200, 300 people, you won't get, and people don't want to see comedy like every weekend or even every month. Like they come once, then they come again in 2-3 months. And especially if they've seen you, you know, like, so like there is no, and that's the thing. And then like this week, as I said, like Monday, tomorrow is this like visiting comedian that's produced by this like record label that put a lot of money into advertisement, and they have like a marketing team and a social media team and so on. It's like a properly organized thing. And then on Fridays is our show in like our regular 40 people venue. But now, like, both, like, they don't know how to sell it, because they don't know how to sell English events. So it's going to be, I mean, I don't know, it might be sold out, it might be empty. I don't know what's going to happen. But I see that, like, the number of times I've seen the ad makes me think they're putting more and more money into it, because it's not selling great. But that also means that whoever comes to that show on Monday probably won't come to my show on Friday, which is also a ticketed show. So, like, the limit, the number of people who are willing to come out to stand up and also pay for it is very limited. Like the number of people who are willing to come for free to just see what it is Sure, that's a bigger number because they'll come, they'll see if they like it, they'll come back. If not, whatever. We spent an hour, that's it. But to pay like 10, 12, 15, 17 euros for a show, you know, like there's a limited number of people for that. And that's the problem. Like there is no like open mics. There is no like practice and stuff. Everyone just wants to sell their show, whether it be like local comedians, the 2 or 3 people that can do an hour, these like other producers that bring in touring comedians, independent touring comedians that come here and do their shows as well. That also happens sometimes. And I'm like, yeah, but in a way, as you said, like just get in touch. Like you want to do a show here, I know the market, I know the audience. I can put you like I can put a host, a warm up or something like for you as well. Just get in touch. Sure, I can take some fee because I'm doing some work, but you won't end up like in a, because we had this situation as well, like of this girl that and I know her, like we met in Edinburgh and like, you know, performed together and everything. She's a really funny comedian and a really nice person, but she like produced herself like a tour around Europe, and one of the places she came to perform was here in Zagreb. So it just popped up in my feed. I'm like, well, you know, you could have messaged me saying like, hey, dude, I'm coming to perform in your city. I know you run comedy there, but whatever. And then she booked a venue that I knew was a horrible venue because I've done it, and I knew that they were going to fuck her over. So I like got in touch and I said, just a heads up, that's a bad venue. Like that venue is a bad choice. Don't do it. And she said, but I already arranged with them. It's going to be fine. And then one day before the show, they had like an argument with the venue because they were dicks, as I told her they will be. And she got in touch and she was like, oh, I don't want to do it there anymore, but I already sold some tickets. Can you find me a different venue? So like Peja and I together and one other guy, actually like one Croatian guy, we like tried, we asked everyone, and in like 24 hours, we found her a great venue in the center. Actually, this like third guy, Leon, he found her a venue, which was really nice and so on. And she had like a good room and everything. But, you know, like, get in touch with me. Like, I don't have to even produce it. I don't have to, like, charge you, like, the producer fee. Or I can just give you some, I can tell you what's, like, a good part of the some city or, like, a good venue. Or, And then, like, for example, this record label that they are doing, like, you know, okay, I do, like, smaller shows. I do, like, 40 to, like, 100 and something people shows. They do, like, bigger venues there. I think the venue tomorrow is at least maybe 200 people. But, like, get in touch and be like, hey, dude, we know you're running like English comedy here. How about we do like cross promotion, something? You know, like it's also good for me if I mention, like if there is a 200 people show and I mentioned, actually, by the way, there is regular English comedy in Zagreb. So, you know, drop by to, like, you know, it can only, that's how you grow a scene. If everyone does it independently and doesn't cooperate or wants to work with others, that's how you split a scene. And I think that...
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the main issue that I was kind of like, everything was cool and hunky-dory. The only part was when all of a sudden it seemed like people were not communicating between like this outside like thing. It was like, yeah, maybe they didn't know that we'd already had like a kind of a chat going on, but at the same time, it was just a little bit like, yeah, this could run a lot smoother and could actually be to everyone's benefit, because this is what I was saying, as long as we all work together. Because from what I've heard, for example, Barcelona has many different clubs, right? It's got a much bigger scene. It's one of the big scenes actually of Europe, apparently. But the thing is, there's like, from what I've heard of different comedians, is they work together, they have like a spreadsheet or something where if for any comedian that comes along who's new, they get like a copy of this spreadsheet that tells them of all the clubs, the times, the venues, the costs, the this and that, who to contact, blah, blah, blah. It has all that information because they've all worked together, and rather than try to split and let their egos get in the way, they've decided, hey, let's work together for everyone's benefit. And then comedians, when they come, they can just choose. They can go, okay, I'll go with this person, or I'll go with that person. And, you know, I'll do shows at this place, and that place. I'll try for that, you know, depending on what your level is and what you're looking for. But the thing is, they work together so they don't, you know, step on each other's toes. And I think that's what I'd like to really see develop, sort of stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's the same for, like, you know, Berlin, and it's the same for Prague, and it's the same for like Amsterdam and whatever. And all those same comedians, like I run an open mic on Mondays, you run an open mic on Wednesdays, but I'll come and host your show and you'll come to headline my show, whatever. Like, it's 2 stages for me and 2 stages for you, right? So it makes sense that we would all like work together. And when we have like an open mic every day, or if we have like back-to-back showcases on the weekend, that means like I can perform twice and earn double money and, have double stage time, which obviously just makes logical sense. I think, but that's the case in the cities where there is enough audience. Here, I think in the cities like ours, and even though like, what did you say, how many people live in Alicante? Like 300,000, something like this? 350. Here it's a bit more. I think the city itself is maybe 700, but then there's like this urban area around, but whatever. But I still think there is probably more expats in Alicante anyways, and like foreigners than they here, at least like seasonal and tourists. So, but anyways, like the market is pretty small and limited. So you cannot have like a show every day or 2-3 shows a day, because no one's going to come to watch that, which means that either we work together to like carefully schedule it in such way that we don't compete. So, you have a show this week, I'll have a show next week, and then we'll have an open mic third week. So it means like someone can come to a showcase, someone can come to your specific show, your hour, and someone can come to an open mic. Otherwise, if we like just do it independently, then the shows are going to overlap. Then we're going to like steal each other's audience. Then we're really stepping on each other's toes, because the pool of both the audience and the comedians is also very limited. Because, if a person comes to my show and sees my hour, that's not all the jokes I have. I have like 3 hours, definitely. But if they come and see like someone else's hour, that's probably the only like 45 minutes that they have. And then if they see that same person on some other show, they're like, okay, I've seen these like 15 minutes already as a part of the show. Why would I see it again? Which means that with the limited amount of comedians, also people don't want to come too often because they're going to see the same jokes. So in that case, the only, I think, way to move forward and to grow a scene rather than to split a scene is to actually communicate and to coordinate and to say like, yeah, okay, sure, like this Friday I'm doing a show, you do yours in 2 weeks, for example, not tomorrow. Because if I do the show today and you do the show tomorrow, and 60 people wanted to come to English stand-up this weekend, I'll get 30 and you'll get 30. Or I'll get 20 and you'll get 40, doesn't matter. But if there is, that's the only show this weekend, then I'll get 60. But in 2 weeks, you'll get 60. So I think it only makes sense to kind of do it like that. And that's why I think at the moment, the scene here is getting oversaturated. But not even in the amount of shows. First, just shows in general. First and foremost, in the amount of ticketed shows, because everyone wants to do their like ticketed show and their hour. And second of all, because of like bad communication, like poor communication and poor coordination, which means that the shows overlap either on the same day or back to back or even on the same week. I think that's the issue, because then we're really like splitting and it can be done. Like in summer, we ran the festival for 12 days in a row, and 12 days in a row, we had full rooms. 12 days, every day it was full. Like, I mean, some days it was really sold out to the last seat. Some days it was like 60, 70% of the capacity. But, we didn't have like an empty or canceled show or anything. 12 days in a row. And it was mostly locals. It wasn't really that many like tourists or something. So people want to come out to comedy, but it was summer. Not much is going on in the city and so on. Nowadays, there are events every day. There is like theater, there is cinema, there is concerts, there is this and that, like speed dating, wine and pain, this, like everything going on. So people are going to come to stand up once a month, once every 2 months, 3 months. I don't know.
It's interesting. It's almost the flip side here, because in Alicante, it's all about the summer is the going to the beach. So people don't want to go to like events and like people go to like sit down in a bar or whatever and watch a show. People want to go to the beach and swim, and then maybe do a live music place, but with an open air so you could dance or whatever else. So it's completely different. Actually, I noticed my best shows were during when I first opened up and for the first few months until summer. Like that was my best period. And, that seems to be sort of thing. And the one or two that I've had okay since then was after summer. Like our summer is when it dies. So it's actually, for us, it's the flip side. It's when it gets colder, there's nothing to do. You can't go to the beach. So people are like, oh, fuck, we've got to find something else to do.
Yeah, that's the same here. But that means like the city gets like half empty because everyone goes to the coast or to the sea and stuff. But then if you stay in the city, so if your vacation is like next week or whatever, then you have nothing to do, because all the regular events, they run kind of like October till May, let's say, kind of the the school year, I guess, not the calendar year, but the school year.
Yeah.
So like even the Croatian stand up, any like there are some summer festivals like summer movie festival and this and that, but like the regular kind of things like pub quizzes, take a break, like these like singles parties, like this different like kind of events, like language exchange meetings, whatever, that like this kind of crowd that would come to stand up goes to, they all take a break in summer, which means in like July there is kind of nothing to do. But then nowadays, like this week I went to a pub quiz twice, because there are like pub quizzes every day in like 100 places around town. So like people would go to that or to something else. And also like during the year, obviously, like people have work, people have studies, people have like whatever they have. In summer, not much is going on. So people also have like less things to do. So actually for us, it turned out that like July was a really great time to do this festival. Will we do it again in July or maybe earlier or something like May, June? I don't know. But anyways, I would say as kind of a conclusion of what I see here and what I know from like other cities and even how we did it in Moscow and so on, there it was also like a small market. It's a huge city, but if we talk about how many people speak English and how many expats live there and how many people wanted to come to English stand-up, it was also a small market, which also meant that like once...
Percentage-wise.
Yeah, which means that was... And also quantity-wise, like, if you took... the number of people that can come to English stand-up, it was still the same, 10,000 as it is for me and for you. It's just in a much bigger city. But yeah, that also means that we were kind of, whenever someone didn't want to play along and, like play nicely and work together, that means that we were kind of competitors. And then that's also created a lot of like, problems and arguments and, fights and all this like, tension and everything on the scene.
Yeah, I remember that. And that's what I'm trying to avoid so much. I'm just like, no. That's why I'm like backing down in a way, because I'm just like, well, why am I going to fight for something when and originally that wasn't what I was planning to do anyway, but it's something I had to do, so it's like I'd rather just pull back. But I'll charge for it, because I think the problem here is that without the money, as the Irish guy said, free has no value. And that's the mentality that seems to be here, sort of thing, like the way that we worked before back in Moscow, to give the free open mics in order to then draw them in for the showcases later on. Doesn't quite work here,
but
straight from the bat, it's better off to just go straight into a thing and advertise. What I find really interesting is, like, for example, because I said free open mic, Marco Antonio is also an open mic. He just sets it like anyone can, but he's not open to everyone there, like selected comics, but pretty much he's just like, anyone can get up and perform. But because he charges it, it gets advertised as a showcase. But I mean, people get up there and do new material, so it's not really a showcase as such. It's not what is the traditional aspect for showcase. But as pointed out when we had the guys coming from Madrid, because it's all about advertising. It's like great comedians, blah blah blah, experience, wonderful show. You're gonna have a great time, and it's like, they were no names. They were just comedians like us. They were no different. The other thing is they had their nice showcase show already set up, very well done, apparently, and they performed and it went really well. But it's a once-off show, so they could charge for it, and people, they sold out. They had to do 2 shows because it was a novelty, it was a once-off, and it was,
Yeah, but that's how
people found it was valuable.
That's
to
different.
Spend
Like when we used to do like European tours, first time we were in Zagreb in like 2016 with our English show, we sold out like 150 seats or something in like a day and a half, because it was like, we're coming from abroad, we're like new faces nowadays.
Yeah.
But still, I don't think that the free thing is like so damaging. I do my shows free and they're always full, because there will always be people who will come because they're not sure how it's going to be. They don't know these people. They maybe don't even follow stand-up on like YouTube, Netflix or something. It's just like a new type of entertainment to check out. And then they would always rather come for free and risk it, just losing some time and having a drink than, paying like 15 euros and then realizing it's shit. So that's why like here free still works. And I always have my like free caps open mics where I always put it like everywhere in caps, free, and it always like attracts people because I think it gives them that opportunity of, let me see what this is.
Yeah, unfortunately, over here it seems to work different because it's like I've done like, free show as well. And then I started like ticketing, but, free tickets. And you have like 7 people book. One person shows up from that booking. Another time, 16. Again, one person show. I think I once had 26 tickets and I think 3 people showed up. And it's just like, wow, it's just, that's why the Irish guys were just like, you know what? It's because they don't respect the ticket. They book it at the time for a win for the hell of it because they're not losing anything. And then they just forget about it. They don't bother.
Yeah, I think of course, like there is this issue with like if it's free, people are, but that's all kind of like supply and demand. If you have enough demand, like if I can get, because nowadays, like last 2-3 months, apparently it's also, and I'm talking to this like producer from another city that runs like Croatian comedy and to a few producers here in Zagreb that run, apparently there is this kind of like period of disinterest or whatever in stand-up in general. So they're kind of struggling to bring people in as well because it's suddenly like after COVID, kind of 2022, 2023, stand-up really like exploded here as a new type of thing to go and see and do. But not always good. Like I would say majority is not good. It just exists. At least then, like it just existed, and people would go and see it and be like, "Yeah, that's not great." So I think some people got disappointed. I think some people just realized it's not for them. I think like some definitely comedians and places have their audiences and will always have their audiences. But I think there is also like this general feeling of over saturation or exposure to stand up, and people started going to stand up less. Like this autumn, this is very noticeable apparently within like different organizations and different cities. So it kind of hit us as well. But up until summer, I could get like 40 reservations online and then like 20 more people show up at the doors. Oh, we thought it was free. We didn't like buy anything. We just wanted to come. And I'm like, sorry, it's all full. In that case, I could also put like, I have 40 seats. I could put like 60 reservations online and hope that like 30% won't come, which is very realistic, As soon as it's like raining, as soon as it's
Didn't you guys do
something...
that in Moscow? Like sometimes you did like
every
oversell
time,
because
always.
you knew that people...
Always, and it always works. Like we had 50 seats, like exactly 50 seats in the club, and we would always, I guess, reserve like 65, I think. Sometimes if we see that like, it's as I said, like snowing or the public transport isn't working for some reason or something, we would even like book like 70, 80 for the 50 seats because we know that as soon as like it's Sunday afternoon, you're at home at like 3 p.m. It's nice outside. At 6 p.m. it starts raining, and at 7 you have to go to the show, some free stand-up show. Yeah. The first thing that comes to your mind is like, I'll go next time.
Yeah. So what was your refund policy?
No, I mean like this was for free shows. So
for free shows, right? Fair enough.
For like ticketed shows, we would sell the tickets for the number of seats we have. If you don't come, you don't come. Like it's we have your ticket, so
there's no loss.
Yeah, or like of course you could refund. I think a day, like 24 hours before the show or something. Like people get sick, plans change. That's absolutely fine, and we can put that back into rotation. Yeah. But if you just don't show up, then you forfeited your ticket, whatever. I would say that like. The bet in the markets like ours, which are quite limited in the number of comedians and audiences and even like venues and stuff and channels to promote, the only way to do it is to do it together, because then you can
communication.
Communication, coordination, cooperation. Otherwise,
exactly,
you don't like build, you don't like raise up the market, you split the market. Come with an idea, come with a project. I'll always like support you and help you out. Don't put up, like choose the venue, choose the date, decide to do your show like one day before my show, and then come to me and ask me, why don't you help me promote it? Because you're like stepping on my toes, because you're like taking away from my show. Do it like, let's talk to me before you set a date. Tell me like, hey, I want to do a show on Friday the 15th of December. And I will say, oh, great. Like, we're not doing any shows then. And I have kind of time and capacity to actually support and promote your show. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think, the more the merrier as long as you communicate. But if you're not communicating, if you're not working together, then too many cooks in the kitchen. You end up with too many cooks in the kitchen and then the broth gets spoiled or I don't know what the saying is, the soup or whatever, the broth or some shit.
Something like that. Yeah, it's
Something gets badly cooked.
spoiled.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's salmonella, then there's vomiting, there's diarrhea. There's one bathroom only. There's 6 people with diarrhea, and it's a fucking mess, man. It is a nightmare.
And what a way to finish! What a way to finish an episode with vomit and diarrhea.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, if anyone listening to this wants to start their own shows, especially in the cities where we are, in their own city, has some questions or whatever, always feel free to reach out to us using the email or any of the platforms where you can find us. If you like this podcast and you enjoy the episodes and the topics we cover, share it, talk to people, let them know, and come back and listen to us again. I've been Igor Monday.
And I've been David Munoz.
Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Ciao.